250 students. Year 2, K through 8, 325 students. Year 3, K through 8, 422 students. Year 4, K through 8, 450 students. Year 5, K through 8, 508 students. We do have an LEA impact statement for this school. We do not have due diligence. Pass-fail ratings are as follows. Mission, purposes, and goals, 4 pass, 1 fail. Educational plan, all pass. Governance and capacity, all pass. Operations, all pass. Finance, all pass. This applicant is requesting acceleration. They are not a repeat applicant. They did receive assistance from Alliance Education Services, and this application was deemed complete. You have 5 minutes to deliver your statement.
Good morning. My name is Constance Davenport, and I'd just like to thank all of you for letting me come and speak in front of you today. And I'm going to grab a tissue because I'm super passionate. I'd like to start off and introduce my board to you. This is Liz West. She has an extensive educational background, over 32 years serving in the local LEA in our county. This is Laura Biggs. She also has an extensive educational background. She works with CTE stuff. This is Victoria Harrison, and she works for a local eye doctor. She does coding and billing. This is Gabrielle Davenport. She's also my sister. We co-own the Spot Waterloo in Edenton, North Carolina, so we are small business owners. And this is Stephanie Phelps, and she is a stay-at-home mom. And we do feel like we have a very strong board. We're very passionate about this. I just wanted to start off by telling you my story. I told you I'm gonna cry. So my child started school in our local LEA. I was there every day to drop her off to school and was very involved with her school activities. Was constantly asking the teacher, did she need any help? Was she behind? Was always reassured everything was fine. 2 days before she was supposed to graduate kindergarten, they sent home a letter saying, please do not send your child to school on Friday. He or she will not graduate kindergarten. Sorry. And there's more stories like this, but as a parent, as a first-time parent sending your child to school, you entrust that school with your child's education. And if you are involved in the school system and you're trying to help in any way possible, and then 2 days before your child's supposed to graduate kindergarten, you get told, don't even send your child to school, it's not happening. So, sorry. We have definitely a very rich agricultural background in Washington County. That's pretty much all we have. There are some people who fish for a living, but our main focus is our agricultural area. My husband farms, we have cattle. I put on my resume what I do, but I actually farm with him also. I help him pick wheat, corn, soybeans. I help deal with the cattle, so I actually help him farm. So all of our board members also, most of their husbands farm or in the farming community or marine fisheries. So we're all familiar with that background with the farming. Sorry. We are 30 miles closest to the nearest McDonald's. It's 30 miles away from us. Walmart, Crystal. We're about a little over an hour closest to the nearest Walmart. Target is over an hour and a half away. We do not have any restaurants. We do not have any gas stations. We have nothing in our town. No stoplights, just stop signs. So these kids, they don't know anything outside of sometimes our community. It's hard for them to get transportation outside of our community. And the ones who graduate school and decide to stay there, they're not being trained in the jobs that we have there that are needed as far as electrical, plumbing, farming, steel work. We have a local mill, welding, things like that.
Are you going to focus on those things?
We are. That's going to be our primary focus is our agricultural resources, and we have people who have said that they would love to come in and teach these kids welding, stuff, things like that. I know my husband uses more math than any nurse that I know. He has to use math on a daily basis, and some of these kids that are graduating from our local LEA, there is a boat factory about 30 minutes away where a lot of our students go to work, and they cannot even read a tape measure.
Right. So, in terms of the why is Crestwell the reason for this?
Our local LEA is at the bottom of the barrel. Our kids, parents are driving their kids over sometimes an hour away to give them an education that they deserve. And not every parent can do that. We have parents who are driving to another state to work, to Virginia, work in Chesapeake and Suffolk. We have parents that are working down at the beach, and those parents don't have that opportunity to take their kids to another school.
Yeah.
And
it exceeded growth, net growth last year. It's a D school. It looks like all the counties in the school are at D.
Yeah.
Or all the schools in the county are D.
Some of the schools were closing, right?
Our middle school and high school consolidated last year. Crestwell, out of all the schools in Washington County, was the highest performing. Our scores were higher performing than Plymouth and
How many kids
Roseland.
in Crestwell?
There are
In the elementary or middle and high school?
elementaries.
160, 165.
Wait, that's not a K-8 school, is it?
That's K5.
K-5.
So there's 180. It says in the report card from last year, it says there's 16, 17, 180. So here's where I am. This is the first charter school in this county. It would be, correct?
Yes.
They're four. They only failed one in mission. I think that might be because the mission. I am concerned that the mission lacks some detail around the school's curricular focus, but they're passing all the other ones. I'm gonna recommend them to come forward so we can interview them. I think it's an interesting case regardless. My only issue is like these growth numbers and the size of the school. I have like real concerns about that. I just don't. I'm like, you're gonna decimate.
Our closest, Terrell County is the closest LEA to us, and most of us, because our school system is so bad, have released our kids to Terrell County. Then we have some who are driving their kids all the way to Beargrass Charter, which is the next closest K through 6 charter. And that's
where is that?
In, I'm sorry, that's high school.
Yes. Ms. Lynn, you can come speak to that question. And the question was, sir?
I just think, like, what's your rationale? I mean, one, acceleration for me is, again, I think there's and to all the applicants out there listening, not that anybody is, but I just think acceleration has got to be a very rigorous bar to cross. And even the seemingly intense need here, I mean, it's significant, but like, in a year, 250 kids at that school, it seems highly unrealistic.
So our kids deserve better than what they're getting in the whole northeast region of North Carolina are tier 1 counties. And we will not only pull from Washington County, but from Terrell County and Chowan County and maybe Hyde County some. Our opportunities are just not there.
Yeah, I mean, I get you're like right there on the edge of the county at Crestwell, so you kind of like you'll be able to pull in kids from all those surrounding towns. But again, like from our experience charters, rural charters, numbers. I mean, we just have a lot of data that backs up that these numbers are very ambitious. They're very ambitious in a rural area. I know you know your rural area, but part of our job is to say we have a lot of experience in the context work around charters. And so, again, I want to interview these folks because I think, again, they're all pass on these primary reviews, and it's the only charter school in the county. And clearly, I think there's some need out there. So I think it would behoove us to bring them in for an interview. I think you need to be ready to talk about this. We don't need to have that conversation right now, but this is a serious. There's some serious conversation. Also, opening K-8 is very. I mean, that helps get you to 250. How you do that and how you actually assemble a cohort of teachers to across K-8 and open in 1 year across those grades. Like, these are all the questions that we're gonna want to ask if we bring you forward. That's where I am on this one.
I'm in the exact same place, and I'll go ahead and I'll move that we bring them forward for a full interview. I think it's going to be tough, and I think they really have to knock the interview out of the park to get a recommendation for a charter. But from reading the application, I think if there's a group that can pull it off in a rural area with all the difficulties that come with that, I think this group can probably do it. That's why I want to move them forward to an interview and hope that they do well enough in the interview to move forward from there. So that's my motion.
I would second that. I mean, I would agree with this, just very aggressive. Year 508 students, that's 41% of the population. That's very significant. So I'd be prepared to answer how you feel that that's attainable.
May I offer a piece of information?
Sure.
I am a former member and vice chair of the Washington County Board of Education, and I can tell you that there is an extremely large number of homeschool kids in the county, and there is an extremely large number of kids who go to Martin County schools and to Terrell County schools because of our local LEA and the lack of their performance. Our kids simply deserve better, and I think that they're maybe the numbers are a little bit optimistic, but I truly believe that we will have a population for school.
I know you truly believe that, and I'm not trying to be rude, but that's what a lot of people stand up here and say. And they're just, it's just proven with data, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything. We just have to operate in reality. And I think it's really important that, we press upon the applicants, like, you have to operate in reality, this is all hopes and dreams at this point. But when the rubber meets the road in reality, we just shut down a school because they did not meet their enrollment target in a rural county. And part of that is planning, part of that is kind of strategy around where the location is. Like, there's just so many factors. This work is really hard, and I can tell you're passionate, but there's some serious thinking that has to go beyond this. You got to talk to people that have done the work and really understand the context of it. So I would just say, I feel you, right? I'm not dismissing that, but the data is really important to look at your numbers, be ready to explain them, and back up your decision making when you come for the interview. I also would encourage you I'm going to ask you about the weighted lottery and your transportation stuff, because if this is a school, we don't want the first school in Washington County to basically be a school that only serves certain kids. So, yeah, well, we're going to talk about that. And so, when you come, you want to look at, you're talking about all the counties that are around. So how are you going to justify these numbers? So I'm looking forward to the conversation. Data and information is much more powerful than belief and heart, because that's what actually gets people into trouble. Okay, so I'm going to move for the committee to vote. All in favor of moving Pocosin Innovative Charter forward? All right. Do we have Heather? All right. And
on behalf of the committee, I'll move that we move Pocosin Innovative Charter forward for a full interview.
So it's been properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Those 4 minutes. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Yes. Let's see the schools. First one. Yeah.
The applicant coming before the board today is Elaine Riddick Charter School. This interview will be led by Chair Alex Quigley in the Performance Committee. You're proposing to locate in Perquimans County. The proposed grade levels and projected student enrollment are as follows. Year 1, K through 3, 120 students. Year 2, K through 4, 156 students. Year 3, K through 5, 200 students. Year 4, K through 6, 220 students. Year 5, K through 7, 250 students. We do have an LEA impact statement for this application. We did not complete a due diligence. Pass-fail ratings are as follows. Mission, purposes, and goals, 4 pass, 1 fail. Education plan, 3 pass, 2 fail. Governance and capacity, all fail. Operations, 3 pass, 2 fail. Finance, all fail. This applicant is requesting acceleration. They are not a repeat applicant. They did receive assistance from Torchlight Academy Schools, and they intend to partner with that management organization. Torchlight submitted 4 applications in the 2018 application round. His application was deemed complete on October 12th, 2018.
You have 5 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Riddick. I am from Perquimans, North Carolina, Hertford, North Carolina. And I want to start out by saying that I moved back to Perquimans around 2002. I had traveled most of the world at that point. I spent a lot of time on the West Coast as well as overseas. And when I moved back, one of the immediate areas I wanted to target was education. I grew up in Perquimans. I was born and raised there. I went through the educational system there. So I immediately started implementing programs to impact the system. For example, since 2002, I have implemented math programs in Perquimans at my own expense. 2002 also, I implemented reading program in Perquimans at my own expense. 2002, I also started a basketball camp at my own expense, a soccer camp at my own expense. We would use the athletic programs to lure people into our academic camps so that we could impact academia and Perquimans. Around about 2010-11, we started exploring and looking for avenues to move into an official school capacity. Somebody recommended that we look at charter schools. At that point, we got in touch with Torchlight Academy. As we started to work with Torchlight Academy, several options came up. One of the options that came up is that my mother said I should name the school after Elaine Riddick. I don't know if you know the case with Elaine Riddick, but she was one of 7,600 people that was sterilized by the state of North Carolina. That's my mother. So about an hour after I was born, they pulled my mother into the surgery room and they sterilized her because they said that she was feeble-minded. The state now deemed her feeble-minded. The state said any offspring that she would produce would be feeble-minded. So I'm sure you understand why I'm passionate about education and why I moved back to impact specifically Perquimans County. So my mother dropped out of school. She did not have a high school diploma, but she obtained a college degree to speak large volumes to her passion about education. I also graduated high school, went to college in Atlanta, and my educational background is robotics, electronics. I later went to San Jose State and studied material science under the company that I worked for in Silicon Valley called Applied Materials. Let's get to the charter school. So what happens is that during my summer camp, I would bring high-tech individuals in from around the country, specifically a group recently who cracked the code for resolving the issue with peanut allergies. That's Dr. Hortense Dodo and Dr. Anand Coffey. Both of them are from West Africa. Dr. Dodo spends a lot of time in Equatorial Guinea, but she's from Cote d'Ivoire and her husband is from Ghana. They are both professors. They worked at Florida A&M, currently at Fayetteville State University. They're on the board. their extreme view and their different view towards science gives us an edge up on many schools, not just charter schools, many schools in general. Mary, who's the board chair, she has about 28, 30 years of experience working in the school system as a teacher, assistant principal, and so forth and so on. We have a retired Air Forceman there, Archie Aples, who's currently serving as a city councilman. We are currently negotiating several options with buildings. Worst case scenario, I own a building. Currently, minor upgrades need to be done. It's mortgage free. We can move into the building after the minor upgrades are done. We wanted to work with a management company who has a proven track record. And after my mother, Holly, recommended, after she spoke at Shaw University and we met Don, and we had a chance to visit with him now over several years, one of the things that she wanted us to focus on is developing a strong relationship with a management company. Thank you. So we're doing that with Don. One of the students you may have seen recently that have come through our camp, his name is Michael Bonner. He was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, talking about his unique approach towards solving educational problems and conflict. We all will agree that the state, the country, is failing our children academically. There are no excuses anymore. We can procrastinate if we like. We can continue to procrastinate. And if we do, we become complicit in the failure process. So we want to move the charter school forward based upon the America going from 1 in science to 24, 1 in math and reading to mid-20s. We want to move forward based upon that. And my last point, where I live in Prince County, only 30% of African Americans are grade proficient. That's sickening to me. 62% of whites are grade proficient. Sickening. In Pasquotank, the neighboring county, 4 out of 7 of the schools are failing. Excuse me, I'm sorry. 4 out of 7 of the schools are failing. We can no longer see public schools as a viable sense towards solving our educational problem. Thank you for your time.
Great. So here's where I am with this one.
Sure.
I think that you're obviously very compelling. Thank you, and really appreciate your remarks. My concerns are the same as with the other applications. We have the external reviewers have failed this on governance capacity, all fail, and finance, all fail. That being said, if we're going to bring one of these applications forward, it would be this one, because this would be the only charter in this county. I think that I want to have a conversation about this application with the folks that have written it. With clearly he has by far, I would say this is the most compelling vision, and I also think there's a very different argument to make on need when you're talking about Columbus County versus Charlotte, Meck, or Wake County, the two most saturated charter districts in the state, aside from Durham, I guess. So if we're going to bring one forward, I would recommend it would be this one. And I'm feeling, I know the Greene County one, Greene is kind of a similar situation, but if I were to pick one, it would be this one. And I don't know if we're not obligated to bring any, but again, when you're talking about school, it would be the only charter. This is very rural, and I think what he's saying about need, I know to be true. So part of me, this is where I'm kind of like, I want to have the conversation, and that's where I'm feeling on this one.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with what Alex said. There's no other charter school in the area, and the need is great. And I just want you to know, I come from a county where the statistics you were using
Yes, ma'am.
Are very similar, and it breaks my heart.
Sad.
Well, we've got to get to a place of no excuse.
Right.
And Torchlight Academy has exceeded growth the last 3 years. So I'm interested in seeing what that EMO can do here.
Sure.
Although I will tell you, the application, I'm struggling.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I read the same thing 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
However, your board sounds awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you've made a great case. So I would be in favor of moving this forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to move forward. I mean, I will say that I'm not. I'm just going to be transparent. It's going to be hard to overcome, even with the need aspect of being the only charter school in that county. I think it's going to be hard to overcome these the ratings on the written application. Again, it's two parts. One part is written, the other part is the interview. They're both equally important. You could make the case even the written is more important than the board, because that's the one thing that stays. Your board you may get another job in Silicon Valley, you move back to California, and in a year from now you're gone, and the application's still there. And what's written on paper is what they're trying to execute. So it's really hard to overcome the gaps in the application. But I think based on the location, based on what we know of the management organization. But most importantly for me is the unique situation of being the only charter. I feel like I can, because in my mind I have to justify a decision. I'm justifying this decision. I'm saying sharing this all the board. I'm justifying the decision, bring this forward despite the low ratings on that written application, because of it's the only charter in the county. So I just want to make that clear, because I feel like we're kind of not sidestepping, but just saying, okay, we're gonna put the issues around the application aside right now, because we want to have that conversation, but we are going to go to a full interview, and this is why, and that's the difference, as opposed to an application basically met county and Wake. So that's where I am on it.
Just a couple comments. Tony, you or Thomas?
Thomas Anthony. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm so used to people calling me Tony.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And is Ms. Felton here today?
No, she was scheduled to be here on the 8th, but she had previous plans for the 12th, so she just could not get out of her appointment. So I came in replacement of her.
So if we bring you guys forward, your board will be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because my concerns are with, as you probably heard from the previous interview for Torchlight, that the same application was submitted 4 times. So I need assurances from the board.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like for you guys to go back and look at all of the evaluators' comments, the external evaluators, as well as our comments, and be prepared to, support yourself, your board, and your school.
Yes, ma'am.
Because ultimately, this is your school.
Absolutely.
It's not Torchlight. It's not anyone else's. You're the one that is responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
And we need reassurances that you have a full understanding. You know exactly what's going to take place in Paquimins, so that we can stop the train wreck, as you say.
Sure.
I do have another clarifying question.
Sure.
Again, as with the other school, in the beginning, it shows projected enrollment at 120, but then on the budget side, it's 100. So just, I'm not sure if the budget reflects, because the bottom line was very close, if the budget reflected the 100.
From my understanding, it should be at 120 as opposed to 100.
So I'm not sure that the budget was reflecting 120. Right.
My clarifying question might be for us, where are the board member lines? Because
I mean, we submit.
No, I'm asking where they are in
The application portal.
because I'm when I downloaded Appendix F, I think I got a blank.
They have to go. There was a blank document uploaded with the application portal.
Okay, so
look in the files attached on the first page under letters to the state board, they have a document called completed a language charter school correction.
Where?
Fifth one down.
Hang on, I can't find me.
You go back to file.
Oh, completed. Okay, got it.
They were turned in late.
Yeah.
They were turned in after.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have this. Okay, so are we good?
Is Tammy want to say anything?
Yeah, Tammy, do you want to add anything in here? Sorry, I didn't get you in here, Tammy. Do you have any comments?
That's okay. I don't know that I have anything new to add. I have the same concerns with the application this application that we already spoke about regarding the others. But I'm not opposed to them coming in for an interview.
Okay, great. All right.
I make a motion that we move regular charter school to full interview.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we move
charter school to interview. I'll second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. Any discussion with the full board? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
We get both of those, Heather and Tammy.
Heather and Tammy, you vote on those?
Yes, I said aye.
Heather. Heather, are you on there?
Sorry, I was muted. I said aye.
Okay, thank you.
Are we ready for the annual report?
Did everyone receive the annual report via email? Okay.
Before Dr. Allen starts talking about the annual report, I want to take the opportunity to thank her for all the hard work that she's done, and thank several board members that have had a lot of input in it. But Dr. Allen, we appreciate your hard work while you're trying to do the application process too, and performance framework and everything else you're doing.
It's rolled up in the closet.
That's right. But,
Are you single?
I am, so if you know anyone.
Yeah, no, you're not single.
Okay, good morning again, Chair Quigley, Vice Chair Walker, Committee Chair Cactadelis, and respective members of the board. Today I'm going to provide a brief overview of this year's annual report. As you know, General Statute 115C-218.110 states that the State Board of Ed shall review and evaluate the effectiveness of charter schools under the article and the effect that charter schools have had on the public schools in the local school administrative unit in which schools are located. And the report must include, the projected and current impact, student academic progress on schools, and then best practices, and then finally, any other information that the State Board deems appropriate. So a draft of the annual report was circulated to the board via email earlier this week. We look forward to receiving your feedback, any questions that you have today, and then continuing through Friday, December 21st. Like last year, Director Machado will present the report to the State Board of Education, emphasizing trends in the data and outlining how well our schools are performing. A brief overview of where we are. We currently have 185 charter schools in operation, educating 109,389 students according to the ADM figures that were certified in November 2018. This represents 7.3% of the total public school population, which is an increase over last year. This year, the CSAB and the State Board did see its first assumption. As of this presentation, there are 30 schools in the ready-to-open process, including 14 acceleration applicants from the most recent application round. The most recent application round garnered 35 applications with 16 requesting acceleration. Regarding diversity, we are continuing to trend in the right direction. The overall percentage of students of color increased slightly over last year, 46.1% for students of color this year compared to 44.2% last year. Free and reduced price lunch numbers increased incrementally over the past year, increased by 0.6%. Related to diversity and free and reduced price lunch socioeconomic status, we did have 2 additional schools who requested to implement a weighted lottery. I'll speak briefly about the academic status of our charter schools in 2017-18. 40.5% of charter schools received A's and B's. 21.9% of charter schools received D's and F's, which is a decrease from last year, and continues the trend of decreasing numbers of schools receiving D's and F's over the past 5 years. We do have room for growth. As you know, 28 schools were identified as low performing. and 28 were identified as continually low performing, and there was overlap in those lists. I want to talk briefly about the goals that were outlined by the State Board of Education and where we stand on those. Measure 2.4 talks about decreasing the number of low-performing schools. And so the first measure, 2.4.1, the measures the percentage of charter schools receiving a school performance grade of A or B. Our target was 43.5, and this year we hit 40.5. And I will state, I spoke to Director Machado, who explained that the goals that were outlined at the beginning of the year were very ambitious. And so they kind of serve as a North Star, if you will, place kind of to help us reach. 2.4.2, the percentage of charter schools meeting or exceeding expected annual academic growth. The target was 75%. We hit 68%, so a bit of room for growth there. Measure 2.4.3 relates to the performance framework. As you all know, our office did take a significant amount of time this year in the interest of increased customer service to work with schools and provide a lot more support than possibly in previous years. And so because of that, we are still working to finalize those scores, and we'll get that information to you as soon as we have it. Measure 2.4.4A is to decrease the number of low-performing schools. The goal was to have 25 schools, and as I mentioned, we have 28, so some work to do there. 2.4.4B, the measure is to decrease the number of continually low-performing schools, and the target was 9, and as you know, we have 28, so we do have some work to do there as well. We do have some accolades that I would love to highlight. As you all know, this year, DPI, the Office of Charter Schools, was awarded the Charter School Program Grant from the United States Department of Education. And so we look forward to increasing the number of high-performing schools that are serving our disadvantaged populations. We did mention that we had a National Blue Ribbon School, Socrates Academy. Moore Montessori was awarded a $400,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Education to cover 2 years of expenses related to opening a new school. Research Triangle High School was awarded a $50,000 grant through the 2017-18 Digital Learning Initiative, and Pioneer Springs Community School was awarded $14,050 in the 2018-19 grant cycle. And then Raleigh Charter High School was ranked number 64 nationally in the U.S. News and World Report's Best High Schools National Rankings. Yes?
I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but I think actually, one, I really appreciate that this report has a lot of data and charts as opposed to words. I mean, it has a lot of words too, not taking anything away from that. Where did you get your doctorate from again?
UNC Chapel.
That's right. Yeah.
Where did you say?
UNC Chapel.
That's right. I just want to point that out. But anyways, unrelated, or directly related. No, but I think this data, I think disaggregating the data is really important and illustrative. So if I'm reading this right, charter schools, not that it's a competition, but everything to me is a competition. But it seems that even across almost all, except for math in high school, charter school students outperform traditional public school students in every subgroup, in all subject areas. So that's important, right? Because, so regardless of your race or economic background, or if you have a disability, if you're at a charter school, in all areas except for high school math, you're outperforming, on average, collectively, charter schools are outperforming traditional public schools settings, except for, it looks like high school math for white, black, and economically disadvantaged students, kids in traditional public schools are performing higher, but in all other areas, charter school students are outperforming. In some cases, by large margins. ELA in Hispanic students, ELA in middle school 61% in charter schools as opposed to 45% in traditional public schools. 53.7% Black students, 39.6% proficiency in traditional public schools. And then, you say economically disadvantaged, 10-point margin there as well. So that, and then if you look at the students with disabilities, 30 percentage points proficient in middle school ELA versus 18 in traditional public schools. Those numbers are really positive, and I hope will be part of the headline. I see people that are associated with writing op-eds or whatnot in the back there. Part of the headline about this report is that this data, when we kind of peel back the layers about the conversations of kind of who we're serving and have the conversation about how we are serving them, effectiveness, that's really encouraging. So I just want to make sure to draw attention to that. And then I had a clarifying question on the EVOS and ED population graph. It said that there are 7 schools.
The scatter plot, yes.
Yeah, the scatter plot. There are 7 schools that had ED population tested grades over 7%, exceeded growth by achieving an EVOS score of greater than +2. I know that like Henderson is on there.
So this is ED population only in tested grades. And so that school, if you look, the one that's all the way over to the right, that's Henderson Collegiate. They have the highest growth status of any school, but they're at 40% ED in the tested populations. So that is why they weren't listed with those 7 schools.
Yeah, and then that gets into the questions around ED populations, because like my school, Healthy Start Academy, is at over 40% economically disadvantaged, but we participate in the CEP piece, so that's not going to be reflected because we don't collect lunch forms. But in fact, having been the principal of both Maureen Joy and Healthy Start, my school is far lower income than Maureen Joy by by about 20%. Having worked in, right. So we've got to, I remember we keep talking about this every meeting. We've got to fix this because it's just we've got to get this right somehow. I do not know how we fix it. How is it that you could have a school qualify for CEP and then show a lower than 40%? I'm not blaming you at all, but show a lower than 40% ED population that is crazy making. It's crazy.
There's a difference between in my 3 years that I've been here, I've learned that there's a difference between EDS data and free and reduced lunch data. To qualify for an EDS family, they have had to have applied for some sort of state or federal assistance. So there's a good chance that there's a lot of students or families out there that aren't applying for this, and so they're not falling into this EDS. We absolutely have got to get a better handle on. Joe and I have talked about meeting with Dr. Harvey, and we just haven't got around to it.
I just know even that though, again, having been in both of these schools, they are different student populations. Not dramatically different, but I know Healthy Start is. I've met the families.
I was told by accountability this year that traditional public schools are using the direct certification for their EDS population now also, so they're expecting that number to go down.
Oh, it's going to go down a lot.
Yes. Now, whether that happens, have you had any conversation with them about it? I was told that when we first met with them about the data we're going to be asking for. So we'll see if that is.
What do they do in instances where the county does a CEP county? There's no certification at all.
Like That is,
what it wanted to do.
well,
Because my county
yeah,
is.
what I was under the assumption from accountability was they're still using the direct certification data for this information, but the whole county does qualify for reimbursement.
Take Hamilton, for example. The elementary and middle school, Pioneer Elementary and Middle. They don't even collect the data because they're CDP. Now, the high school, for some reason, was eliminated this year, but to get free or reduced lunch, you'd have to apply there. So, I mean,
If, in a case like that, their EDS population should reflect what showed up in direct certification, not in their free and reduced lunch. Whether that happens or not, I haven't seen it yet, so.
Anyways,
My only suggestion in all this, I wish there was a way we could have a little asterisk, with some kind of explanation about the inconsistencies in EDS measurements may skew some of this data. And just to continue to highlight to the State Board of Ed that there's a lot of inconsistencies out there that I hope they'll want to target and focus in on and say, we need to fix this because it's not fixed, it's broken.
And you did put it in the other section when you talked about
Students, there's a little paragraph in there.
Okay, I might have missed that.
There, it is in there.
And then I also added right above, so there's a statement right above the scatter plot, but I think I can, to Joe's point, kind of emphasize that, the discrepancy there. Thank you.
This is a great report, though. This is really well done.
Best we've ever seen.
The data is the data that we need to see. Really good job.
I think that statement, Danielle, seems to imply more about the testing rate versus what Joe was saying. So just maybe add a little more to that.
Absolutely.
The only other thing I don't see in here that I don't know if we have to do for this report, maybe for future, is since ACT is now one of the measurements statewide, and I know we don't have all high schools, obviously, but to compare the charter high schools, traditional high schools with the ACT component as well.
What, you mean a nationally standardized test, Joe?
Oh, heaven forbid.
You mean a real test?
Let's go down that road.
Because maybe, I've talked about this type of data before, but maybe one place to consider putting it in next year is I'd like to see some data on just a deeper section on authorization maybe in next year's report where we go back and we look at, okay, here's all the schools that we approved, here were the vote tallies, here's how they're doing, like something like a table that would just kind of say, here's all the schools that have been authorized by CSAB.
Start right now.
And kind of organizing that data to say, here's their performance metric, here was the vote, just something that would help.
Performance measure.
Yeah. So I think it'll do two things. One, I think it'll show an important, like when we have a rigorous bar for entry, schools do well. In the schools that we're kind of split on sometimes, I don't think those schools, they tend to struggle more. I just think that whether maybe it lives in the report, maybe not, but I think something that where we dig deep into that could be. I think the state board would actually benefit from seeing that data. I think it'll actually be helpful and speak to some of the work that we've done on the board in a positive light, but it'll also give us some data that would push us a little more in a way that probably we need to be pushed. So that's just a recommendation I have for potentially future or another item. Not something for this round, but really good job.
I mean, these are fantastic.
Everybody loves color too. You can't go wrong with color. If you're gonna put it out, if it's gonna be electronic anyways, a little color makes everybody happy.
One last item. There's a lot of focus on our math curriculum and accelerating students in mathematics. It's actually legislative now where the student scores a 5, they have to be put into a higher track math. I'd be very curious to see the percentage of students in 8th grade that complete Math 1 in charter schools versus traditional schools. I think it's an important data point for that. And I think that can partly explain why one category that chart is lower in is 9 through 12 math, because they only use Math 1 EOC. for
Right,
that
right.
combine. And if they're taken in middle school, it's only your weaker students who are taken in the charters in high school.
Right.
So that skews the
That high school guy's gonna get even more now that you're not a Thomas Jefferson anymore. The chief of staff here.
Well, I don't know, but ACT, I think, will offset that. Will show clearly that that's not consistent with the ACT data. Especially
I'd love to see the ACT data.
Yeah, that would be good. The high school math, I was looking at that, and it's interesting, we're doing 4. I mean, that's the only graph that we're doing weaker in.
I think that's the explanation. It's
You
the
do?
percentage of students taking math 1 in
Eighth grade,
It's
okay.
not showing up in the 9 through 12 data.
So let's check on that, and also the number of high school charter students. It's just, I mean, we don't have a lot, and I'm wondering if the virtual school data could be playing into that.
Well, and also, because they're smaller, we might not, does that affect our?
Well, I think,
We have about 50 high schools now.
do we?
It's not as small as it used to be.
Okay. All right. The other thing I was going to ask you about, and again, great report. You've just, I personally just want to say, I don't know how you've done what you've done with the applications that we've had and this report. Amazing work. Last year, in the 2017 report, you broke up, not you, but the office, broke up the percentage of charter schools that met or exceeded all financial and operational requirements, and you had a pie graph. And then you had, you broke it down that met financial requirements, and then you broke it down to operational. You broke it down. I don't think we broke it down in this report.
No, so we are still working because of the increased customer service we provided to schools this year. We moved the deadline back, and we did a lot of back and forth trying to get everybody into 100% compliance.
Right.
And so we have not had a chance to compile all the information into a report. But as
I
soon
want to
as
say thank you for not including that, because that caused a lot of confusion, a lot of consternation.
Yeah, it was a lot of frustration.
And that was after we somehow made it a little bit, because it was just so, it was kind of misleading when you looked at it from a glance. You know, it's like what we.
Yeah, but I was thinking now, though, I mean, I was thinking it might
We also did,
be good now.
last year, they were 90%.
Right.
We considered them.
Yeah, you could put it on a sliding scale, because when you look at compliancy, I mean, how many items are in compliancy? I mean, hundreds? I mean, literally, and you could miss one and you're non-compliant.
So I will say that I have been advised that State Board will be looking for that information. And so we are working diligently to get those ratings into the system and get schools a chance to look at it and get it back to us so that it can go into the report. We just don't have that right now. Hope to have it early, mid-January. And of course, we'll send that out to you all for your review so we can decide how to move forward with that. But I have been advised that they may be looking for it. Can we have a vote on this and whether or not we can send it to State Board? Can we do that?
Well, we're ready to vote. You want to, we don't.
Can we vote with adding more information? Or do we need to?
Can we just approve it based on, improve any changes that OCS makes? I feel very confident with whatever they put forward.
Yeah.
There's still some fine tuning.
That's fine. Yeah.
We'll approve it with the phone.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Strictly accept the report with whatever drafts, provisions that are coming forward that we've talked about, to move forward to the State Board in January.
Great.
Wish I could say.
Sherry's got a second. Any discussion on the motion? We'll properly move forward. All right, all in favor of approving the annual report pending additional revisions by OCS? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so approved. All right, great work. Thank you. All right, so we are 30 minutes ahead of schedule. Is lunch available or no?
Yes, it's in room 223.
Okay.
I believe.
Or
on the second floor, the conference room, and I think it's being set up right now.
What time What time are the applicants supposed to be back?
Yeah, it's 1:15.
So they won't be here before 1:15.
Are y'all here? This lighthouse could be in, like, do you all want to bring them in now or go to lunch and have them come back
Let's do
at
Lighthouse.
12:45?
Let's do it now. Well, I guess my only question is Robert Brown, they're supposed to be here at 1:15, right? So we can keep rocking and rolling at 1:15. Yeah, let's do Lighthouse now. Let's do it. What about Paul R. Brown? Or what time have they been told to be here? Or if they want to come, we don't need them to come.
I think we told them to be here at probably around 3.
Okay. Okay.
While they're coming in, what you see Danielle be responsible for is the same as what, actually, she's responsible for 5 or 6 tasks, as is Stephanie. If there's any way our office could get it done, they do make me look good, and I appreciate it. I'd like to have at least 1 or 2 more to make me look good, too. Any word that anybody has any pull, good, try to get that.
I'm glad you mentioned everybody else, because I thought we were having a recess for lunch in honor of Danielle Edwards.
But I said, this staff is the best staff I think this office has ever had. And we got so much work. Another consultant too.
Y'all are crushing it.
4 more people. The game plan is for Jay to take that over.
Somebody to fill his spot. Yes, ours.
The applicant coming before the board today is Lighthouse Charter Academy. They're proposing to locate in Greene County. Their proposed grade levels and projected student enrollment are as follows. Year 1, K through 4, 120 students. Year 2, K through 5, 156 students. Year 3, K through 6, 203 students. Year 4, K through 7, 264 students. Year 5, K through 8, 342 students. We do have an LEA impact statement submitted for this applicant. We do not have a due diligence report. Pass-fail ratings are as follows. Mission, purposes, and goals, 3 pass, 2 fail. Education plan, 1 pass, 4 fail. Governance and capacity, 1 pass, 4 fail. Operations, 4 pass, 1 fail. Finance, 1 pass, 4 fail. This applicant is requesting an accelerated open. They are not a repeat applicant. They did receive assistance from Torchlight Academy Schools. Torchlight submitted 4 applications in the 2018 application round. The Office of Charter Schools deemed this application incomplete on October 5th. The applicant did respond to the incomplete information request by the October 12th deadline. You have 5 minutes to make your statement.
Good day, board. How y'all doing? Good. If you will, I would just like to yield a minute of my time to my management company. Is that okay?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's important to point out something we think is occurring about some of the fails is because there is some of the information that we submitted by the second deadline, which is October 12th, I think it was, hasn't been considered by some of the reviewers. So, Adam, could you just point out this one example we think has kind of occurred a couple times?
Right, and just to make it relevant to this application, and as is mentioned in the rubric, Appendix A2 was not submitted with the initial submission, but it was submitted by the October 12th deadline. And multiple reviewers in the actual review of this has said, where's Appendix A2? I can't evaluate this. I want to keep it again on this application. This occurred with other schools, but Appendix A2 was submitted as deemed in the rubric there. But you also have reviewers not seeing that and then grading our applications without those documents, which is going to give, which when you look at the pass-fail, I don't think is indicative of all the information that was submitted. So just something else.
Excuse me, who
Yes.
do you work, who are you with? Did you
Yes,
like
I'm with the management company here. Yes, ma'am.
You're with the management company?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Adam Isel.
Okay, and you work for Torchlight
Yes.
Academy Schools
Yes, as a contractor.
as a contractor, okay.
Chair, also, I Are you board chair for one of the schools?
No, ma'am. I was listed as a contact for a couple schools.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Do you work with also English?
Yes, English Enterprises as a contractor.
Okay, so you're a contractor, you work with them, contract, okay, I'm trying to get it straight here.
Yes, ma'am.
And just for clarification, Torchlight and Global Resources, it's the same company? What's the difference between the two?
No, they are different. Torchlight Academy Schools is run by Don McQueen. Chief Global Education Resources is run by a couple different managing partners that you're familiar with. Eugene Slocum. He is one, yes.
Right. My name is Kevin Shepard. I'm the board chair of Lighthouse Charter Academy. We're looking to open the school of choice in the county of Greene County in Snow Hill, North Carolina. At this time, there are no other schools of choice in Greene County. Greene County is definitely in need of a school of choice due to the fact that there are some, due to the lack of progress when it comes to proficiencies with the performance of the Greene County schools, in relation to as well as the performance gap when it comes to minorities. We do believe that a school of choice, Lighthouse Charter Academy, will be beneficial to Greene County. We have already set up several partners and relationships right there in Greene County. One in particular is with the Greene County and Lenoir County Green Lamp, which is a Head Start program. We've began to really build that relationship with them, and I think that it will be beneficial to Lighthouse Charter Academy when it comes to the lottery and when it comes to getting kids into the school. As you know, we plan to open kindergarten to 4th grade, which are great grades to start at, as it helps to really build the foundation for children at a young age. Greene County is very dear to myself. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, 1 minute. Greene County is very dear to myself. I went to school in Greene County. My family is from Greene County. My children go to schools in Greene County. My wife works in Greene County. My mom worked in Greene County. My dad worked in Greene County. I worked in Greene County for a while. While I do live in Kinston, I've always lived there. Greene County has always been home. So I'm right there on the front lines. I see the need. The people in Greene County really respect, and they really look forward to myself. And I have a great, strong relationship, and we're just looking to help bridge the gap that they have there when it comes to education. I think parents will be very happy to know that a school of choice is coming, and that we plan on creating an atmosphere for the children to learn with smaller classrooms and with qualified leaders. And one of the things that we plan to do as the board is to go out and search for a great leader that will really push forth the vision that Lighthouse Charter Academy really has for the county of Greene. You're welcome.
So I just want to clarify, what if Adam could come back up and we can get clarity on pertaining to this application, which appendix?
A2. A2 is what was referenced multiple times by the reviewers of not being submitted, but
in A2,
that pertains to facility. It should pertain to facility.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, and just by statute, it was saying that that even if it's submitted by that deadline, the same consideration be shown, regardless of whether it's submitted by October 5 or October 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have more issues with like the actual content of the ed plan and the finance plan than I do with like any appendice. I know that's for me and reading like the review comments on the
and absolutely. Plan. I think some of those, like for some of them, they might say, well, where's the data regarding this? And that wasn't something that was reviewed. Things like that. So that ancillary information, I think, really provides context to what we're talking about. Might not have been regarded.
I still have the same questions I had for the other one.
I understand.
You know,
my questions were less about the appendices, more about content.
But I will say, the need is there, but there's not any survey information. I don't know if getting.
So one thing that we did is we looked at Facebook, and we referenced that in the application, is that we reached out to the community, go and like our page on Facebook. The page on Facebook had, at least last time I checked, anywhere from 150 to 180 likes, and those come from Greene County residents. And I know that's been used in previous applications that have been passed with no survey data. So that's one of the reasons we utilized that, is because we felt that there had been precedent with other applications that did not submit survey data that were approved using Facebook.
I don't know about that. As long as I've been on here, though, I've wanted the survey knowing that you're going to get, but I've been on here less than 2 years, so I don't know.
I was just looking at past rubrics, and you can tell when that school comes to fruition, and many of those did not have surveys.
Right.
So that was our rationale, and that's why we didn't pursue surveys in the same way.
Well,
that it seems like I hear that you want it.
My issue with that is you're asking for an acceleration. That means you're going to be opening a school in 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have clear evidence that there is, I think the need is there. Obviously, there's nothing in Greene County, and I'm very familiar with Lenore. I'm from down east, so I know the whole region.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to debate the need, but if parents aren't even informed, how can they start making decisions about a school that would potentially open in 7 months?
Well, the parents are informed. We've already held a public forum already. At that forum, we had about 50 to 60 people that attended the forum.
But we're talking, Kevin, about 5 grade levels.
Mm-hmm.
That's 120 students in a small area,
yes,
as it is.
In particular grades.
I also don't think that I don't think the schools that you're referring to are acceleration schools. They weren't for that. So I do think that there is a higher bar to cross the threshold into acceleration. I know I'm not leading this. My feeling with this was, I feel similar in the effort to be consistent. My feeling is I would like to bring this application forward and have that conversation with the reason and the justification being around the kind of this is not a school.
And I made that point about what did you see there.
In my issues, and I think I would say the majority of the external reviewer issues were more around not as much specifics around facility issues. Yes, for acceleration, that's applicable. I was looking at more actual content. So I feel, again, I'd like to be, my feeling is I'd like to be consistent and say, look, here we have an application for a charter school in the county that doesn't have one. Gentleman has expressed his personal experience and knowledge of the community, the board chair.
We definitely have an exemplary facility already.
Yeah. Well, and facility side, content of application, regardless, I think having the conversation with the school that's applying with an operator that is known in a county that doesn't have an existing charter school, I think that is something that we should give the benefit of the doubt and have the conversation, have the deeper interview.
Tammy, any comments?
Sorry, I had you off mute. I don't know that I have anything new to add.
Okay.
Other than what has already been.
And Sherry,
I'll make a motion to bring this one forward for.
Okay, and I'm gonna second that. So, Mr. Chair, we're all in favor? Tammy?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
All right. Committee has recommended to bring Lighthouse forward for a full interview, and
I make a motion that we bring Lighthouse for a full interview. Full board?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been properly moved to second. We bring Lighthouse forward for a full interview to the full board for review. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Heather, did we get you in there as well?
Yes.
Great. All right. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you. All right, great. Robert J. Brown, we're whole. Feels like lunchtime now.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Heather and Tammy, you can call back at 1:15, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Well,
You'll have to get lunch on your own.
okay, that's
They're room
Send
224.
Alex the bill.
224.
Yeah, we need some.
Yeah, do I need to leave?
We were asking if we could leave.
Oh, well, you know, I have loved it.
Oh, yeah.